The way Robbie Tolan's family describes it, he and his cousin were just walking up to their home after a late-night meal. So why is Tolan now hospitalized? A police officer's bullet lodged in his liver. It's a question sparking allegations of racism in this mostly white Houston suburb of Bel Air.
He was a victim of the worst case and the worst kind of racial profiling.
Tolan is the son of former Major League Baseball player Bobby Tolan. The 23-year-old spent a year playing with a Washington Nationals minor league team and recently played with the Bay Area Toros. Tolan's cousin says they had no idea the two men approaching them that night were cops.
We did not know it was a police officer. We just thought, who is this guy with this gun and this flashlight?
According to police, the officers thought the SUV the pair had just gotten out of was stolen. Relatives say Tolan's parents heard the commotion and came outside. Police acknowledge an altercation took place. Relatives say it involved his mother.
The cop, they said, pushed her against the wall, and her son was on his back at the time, and he raised up and asked, "What are you doing to my mom?" And the officer shot him while he was on the ground.
The car belongs to the Tolans. It wasn't stolen. Police say Robbie Tolan and his cousin were unarmed.
Fool, one day you hear, and then you're gone.
Here's a very important story. It's taking place in Los Angeles. It's taking place in NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana. And it has to do with a 22-year-old being shot 12 times in the back. This is the result of a police shooting. There's a lot of questions that are going to now be raised by the family, and we have been able to put together this special report that you're about to see by our own Sean Calebs.
As fireworks exploded near the French Quarter on New Year's Eve, 22-year-old Adolph Grimes, or Chris, as he's known to his family, just pulled up to his grandmother's New Orleans home after a 5-hour drive from Houston.
He made it for 12 o'clock, exact, with seconds to spare.
A scant 3 hours later, he lay dying on the sidewalk, a half a block from his grandmother's front door. Fireworks giving way to the hue of flashing police lights. The Orleans Parish coroner says Grimes was shot 14 times, including 12 times in the back.
The violence has to stop. My child, will not be meaningless.
And Grimes didn't die at the hand of common street thugs. He was shot and killed by New Orleans police officers. The family wants to know why. Why cops descended on a young man with no police record who graduated from one of the most prestigious high schools in the city. Have the police told you anything?
No. I know just as much as you know.
The police department won't release the names of the officers involved or the shooting report. The FBI is now investigating following a request from the Grimes family.
We think that families should do everything they can to make sure that this investigation is as thorough and complete as possible so that they know the truth.
Grimes had a gun and a legal permit to carry the weapon. Authorities also say they found a shotgun in the car's trunk. The 22-year-old, according to family members, had just walked out the front door and was in a car waiting for his cousin when the shooting started. Grimes' relatives don't believe for a minute that he opened fire first.
Collapse right here.
And the family attorney believes the investigation will show rogue cops and sloppy police work. It doesn't make sense, the family says over and over. A young man who has never been arrested or in trouble with the law. A loving father with a good job. A grieving mother and father say they won't be silenced.
Good story put together there by Sean Calebs and Jason Morris. You know, you hear this family, they seem angry and frustrated. What is the source of that beyond what we saw? Because it almost looks like there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye here.
Yeah, there really is.
firstly, the reason he even got there at midnight, he evacuated to Houston after Hurricane Katrina, and it's a tradition that he always spent New Year's with his family. So he rented a car, got there just a few hours before the shooting. The family is really upset because they've gotten absolutely no information from the authorities. They're not talking with the family. We know that Superintendent Riley apparently is now going to try and talk with the family tomorrow. We just got that word a short while ago. But they have so many questions. Why all these undercover narcotics officers? Why did they descend on this car? They allege that there was a shooting in the area, but there's no record of gunshots being fired, no complaint that has been filed.
Well, and you know, the sorest thumb of all in all of this, the thing that's in plain view that makes everyone probably wonder what the hell's going on, is the 12 shots in the back. I mean, how do you explain somebody being shot 12 times in the back?
Look, it gets worse. I want to show you something. We bought these here in the city. These are the same kind of bullets that city police use. There are 48 here. That's how many bullets were actually fired that night. That information coming from the defense attorney. He's been told 48 shots. So we know that he was hit 14 times, 12 in the back. The superintendent of police here takes issue with that. He says, well, some of them were actually in the side. But look, this information is coming from the coroner. The coroner got his information out there, Frank Minyard, as quickly as possible because there are so many questions. There's a real controversy brewing here. The FBI is involved. Ministers are involved. The NAACP is involved. This is a story that isn't going away, Rick.
When I'm alone, picture us inside a ghetto heaven, a place to rest, finding peace through this land of stress. In my chest I feel pain coming sudden storms, life full of rain in this game, watch for lead dawns. Our unborn never got to grow, never got to see what's next. In this world full of countless threats, I beg God to make a way for our ghetto kids to breathe, show a sign, make us all believe, cause I ain't mad at you. It's for all the homeboys that passed away.
Two new videos surfaced today in the shooting death of a young man New Year's Day at an East Bay BART station by a BART police officer. One witness captured the actual shooting with a cell phone, which you'll see only on Channel 2. Because of the controversial nature of the shooting and the questions surrounding it, KTVU decided to air the video. The video may be key in the case to help shed some light into what happened immediately before the officer fired his gun. But we also want to warn viewers you may find the video disturbing to watch and may want to turn away.
Another witness with a cell phone camera had a direct view which showed Grant at one point holding his hands up and appearing to cooperate with officers. Moments later, two officers can be seen moving Grant from a seated position against the wall and then onto the floor. Officers positioned Grant face first on the floor with one officer near his head, a second near his back, and a third officer standing nearby. There appeared to be a brief struggle. Then, a 2-year veteran BART officer stands, draws his weapon, and fires. After the fatal shot, you can see the officers react to what just happened.
Why did he take his gun out?
We showed the video to John Burris, who represents Grant's family.
It doesn't appear that that was necessary, that they had this person, they had pulled him off from a sitting position against the wall, and then they were wrestling or putting him down, and they were turning him over. Two officers were. One was in his neck area, and the other was straddling over him. And while he was doing that, as if he was reaching for his handcuffs, he reached for his gun.
Burris says he has seen other video from that night, but none that show the incident directly. He says what he has seen matches the description given by witnesses.
It makes no sense when you have the person in that position that you would then pull your gun and point your gun.
Burris argues the images are evidence that support criminal charges against the officer.